Welcome to the Stronger Tides Podcast, the podcast for small business entrepreneurs and corporate executives to learn more about increasing their client or employee retention through a group cruise program. Ready to drop anchor? Here's your host, travel advisor Rita Perez.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I wanted to talk about two things today, and one of them I found on LinkedIn. It is about bad bosses. And now you know that my heart sings for retreats at sea and seeing the transformations that happen aboard. But I would be remiss to say, and you've heard this from me before, retreats at sea are not for everybody. They're not for every organization just because it won't work for every organization. But also, if you have a bad culture, this is not going to do any good whatsoever for your company. So here's the quote that I found. It's from Bridget Hyacinth, I believe. A bad boss can take a good staff and destroy it, causing the best employees to flee and the remainder to lose all motivation. And if this doesn't resonate, I don't know what will. I know a lot of people, when they think about cruise ship retreats, they think like, oh, kumbaya, this is going to fix everything, but it's not. If you do not already love on your people, this is not going to work. You need to be such fans and man, just so devoted. Love on them, show them love. If it's a daily, like, hey, how are you doing? Check in. Or maybe you're going to go ahead and take them out for lunch, or you're giving them positive feedback. There are lots of things that you can do to create a really great culture where your people want to be there and are excited to be there and innovate and work their butts off for you. Those great types of cultures are what retreats at sea are for, because those businesses are already doing amazing things with their people, transforming lives. They're just taking it another step further by doing a cruise ship retreat. If you do not love on your people, or you haven't shown any love to your people, a retreat at sea is not for you. It's kind of like if you have been picked on, like your sibling is picking on you and like poking you and being like, here, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are you gonna do? Like just annoying you. And then goes, you know what, I'm sorry, why don't we go ahead and we're gonna grab some ice cream somewhere else. I don't want to spend extra time with you. You just poked my arm out. So why would someone who isn't feeling the love from their organization want to travel with them to another country for a couple of days? I certainly wouldn't want to go on any sort of trip with someone who doesn't already appreciate me already. So that is something to keep in mind. Retreats at sea are awesome. They're transformational. I've seen it with my own eyes, but you have to already love your employees to be able to implement them. The second part of this podcast, I just wanted to do a really quick update on some like industry shaking news, and it's not like earth-shattering news. It's just one of the cruise lines is rebranding themselves right now. And that is Celebrity Cruise Lines, and they are rebranding themselves as something called New Luxury. Hey, interested in getting an actual numbers comparison of a land retreat versus a cruise retreat? Honestly, when I was putting this document together, I couldn't even believe the great difference between the numbers. Visit StrongerTidesPodcast.com to be added to my weekly email list and get the download now. Back to the show. And there are three things that I really feel like this is going to be super awesome for. But before I go into that, when I say new luxury, and when I've heard them say it, and I've heard different trainings about new luxury, really what I think about is beginner luxury. It's kind of for people who have been interested in luxury but didn't really know if it was them, so they wanted to try it out a little bit. I would say it is in between premium line, which is like Princess and Holland America, and a luxury line, which is like Seabourn and Silversea. And I say that because it doesn't offer all of the amazing amenities that a true luxury brand like Silversea and Seabourn do offer. Now, here is part one that Celebrity is now offering, and that is more inclusivity, which is amazing, especially if you're planning a retreat. So now all cabins will come with certain basics, and that is prepaid gratuities, basic beverages, and I'm gonna forget one. Nope. Base gratuities, basic Wi-Fi. I'm like, what is the last one? They're all so important. And I feel they're also incredibly awesome too in the retreat setting. So you have your gratuities, of course, like you as the company boss, you're covering those because they are an expense that need to happen on the cruise ships, but now they're included. This is just it's always a lot to be like, okay, so this is your cruise price, and then you have to pay this, and then you have to pay this. So it's awesome that it's all going to be included in one. Love having the Wi-Fi because, especially if you're going to still be having things that you need to tend to ashore, of course you're going to need to have that Wi-Fi to stay connected. And the last thing, beverages. And I know some people get a little bit hung up on the beverages and thinking that it's all alcohol, which for companies that are big drinkers, this is fabulous. But if you are not, this is just as fabulous because I myself am not a big drinker, but I love this because I hate like having to shell out extra money if I just wanted a soda this night, or if I wanted a fresh squeezed orange juice, or if I did want to go ahead and do an herbal tea. Those are some of the other things that are included, as well as specialty coffees, and some places even have smoothies. So I am a huge fan of this, and I think this is going to be so awesome for the companies that wanted to offer a little bit more of an elevated experience, but at not too much higher of an expense, and have everything included. This I love it. I love it. One of my favorites. Second is something that I think is really neat because luxury lines in regards to retreats fall in their benefits in regards to space. There's not really dedicated meeting space for these types of events. You can of course go ahead and reserve meeting space or lounges and bars, but there's no like conference center per se. Whereas on celebrity ships, yay, there are. You can reserve a meeting space or the whole conference room, and you can do it for like the whole term, where usually on luxury ships, if you were going to be reserving space, it's not going to be for the whole time. It's going to be for a limited amount of time because the cruise lines do have to utilize that space for the other guests on board. And finally, this is where I also feel like it's great for like beginning luxury because it's a little bit of that contemporary feel, but elevated with luxury. So on true luxury ships, you're not going to have the big Broadway productions. They just don't have the space for it. But on Celebrity, they do. So if, again, you were just wanting to dip your toes or do something a little bit special, maybe this was like an anniversary year, like a 25th or a 40th anniversary of the company, I think this would be a really special treat because you still get those comforts that we get on the big lines, but in a little bit more of an elevated setting in this whole new luxury. So if you have any questions about retreats at sea or these new updates that are happening in our cruise industry, please do not hesitate to send me an email. I'd love to answer you and have a chat about it. Have a great week, everyone, and I will see you here next week. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Stronger Tides podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast. And if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating or a share with your colleagues. Find us on social media at Rita Ventures Group Cruising and online at ritaventures.net. Until next time, happy sailing.